G'day, Angie Mahari here. On the notion that you need to accept the person with BPD might love you in a rather unconventional way, might not be able to love you in a way that would be what you'd hope for or expect, that it would be a rather unconventional, not love in the conventional understanding of what love is. It's an interesting thing to forward because I think the person forwarding this notion, and that's all it is really, it's kind of an illusion or delusional notion that doesn't make any sense. That a person with BPD, you just need to understand that they're going to love in a different way than what is a conventional understanding of love. Well, excuse me. This would go to, it depends what you think love is, right? But aren't a lot of people with codependency, and aren't a lot of people in these relationships with people with BPD, and aren't a lot of people with BPD who don't know themselves, don't have a self, etc. Isn't everybody fighting for, quote, love, unquote? Isn't everybody just so compelled to keep on trying to ram that round peg into the square hole and achieve this thing called love, even if now, like somebody said up there, it's in a different way, different, it's unconventional, but if you get that, then like, hey, goodness gracious, what a setup for yourself. What kind of pain are you going to encounter with that? And I don't mean to be hard on people with BPD over this, because the reality is, and I'll put the videos I've done on this topic under this video as well, that people with BPD don't have a self from which to love you. They don't love themselves. They hate themselves. They don't know themselves. They have an abandonment and shame wound, and they feel bad. They feel really incredibly bad about themselves, about the self that they don't even know. And so how on earth could somebody say, well, people can say whatever they want, but how on earth could this be true or accurate or reasonable or a healthy kind of approach or attitude for those with codependency out there, to think that, well, the person with BPD is loving you somehow? It's just, you got to understand it's going to be a different way, not going to be conventional, or maybe what you always hope for, or maybe what you absolutely deserve, which would be healthy love. But then to get healthy love, people with codependency have to realize you have to get healthier too. So healthy love is not something you fight for. Healthy love is not something that comes in a different way, and you have to decode it, And so people are making all kinds of, I guess, I don't want to say excuses, but rationales, right? They're rationalizing up the yin-yang in what is classic codependent denial. People with BPD, untreated or unless until significantly, and even past significantly treated, do not attach, do not love. If you don't have self-reference and self-coherence, how are you going to love self, let alone other? So this idea that people with BPD just love in a different way and you have to understand it's not conventional, no. That's unfortunately really codependent denial. And that's somebody who is abandoning themselves and doesn't feel worthy of healthy love, and or has an avoidant or anxious avoidant attachment style of their own, because maybe if they were really to get the love, which you can't get from somebody with BPD, but maybe if they were really ready to get the love or able to accept healthy love themselves, which a lot of codependents can't, by the way, for a lot of reasons, that they still need to heal, to understand, heal, work with in a process with somebody, and work toward recovery on that. So perhaps if somebody turned around to many codependents today, not that people with BPD are just going to do that like that, no, but if they turn around to give you incredibly what you most think you want, and you have codependency in terms of what love is, you might not know what healthy love is. You might not really know what that looks like or feels like, because you just might not have known it yet. And when I say that, I mean, yeah, right now I happen to be in a fabulous relationship. I've had healthy relationships prior, and I've had a few. I am the ex of 2 quiet BPDs and a BPD-NPD alcoholic, so been on both sides of the fence in that regard. But I'm in a fantastic relationship, and it's so healthy, so mutual, reciprocal, so respectful. And that's what healthy love is. But, so I'm not sitting here saying just because of that, or I've been in healthy relationships prior, that, I'm an expert at what's a healthy relationship. Though I'm learning a tremendous amount right now, but it's incredible. But I do know just from, my education and learned experience. So I'm not going to claim to be the world's expert on, healthy love, although I do know what it is in my life and it's fabulous. I know absolutely tremendously from past life experience and education and 30 years working with clients. I absolutely know what love isn't. So in the absence of what healthy love really is, thinking that because somebody with BPD might love you in a different way and it's not going to be conventional to your understanding of love and that's love, wow, that's a codependent, webbed, kind of twisted, tangled up kind of rationale, or rationalizing and or denial, and or you don't realize how impacted people who might think like this with codependency don't realize how impacted they are by the fact that they don't feel worthy of actually being met with love, healthy love. And why do I say that? Well, because people with codependency, unless they get enough recovery and then some, they really their attachment styles and the unhealthy relational patterns of codependency, they're not something that helps people to achieve or find healthy love either. So this is really a rationalization to a denial on the part of somebody with codependency that they think this. And so what happens in these relationships between codependents and those with BPD or even narcissists, and this idea that you have to fight for this love and that, and you have to talk about it for hours every day and you have to argue and you have to figure it out and you're just so intense and all that stuff. Well, when there isn't mutuality and reciprocity, and not all codependents are capable of mutuality and reciprocity to the degree that healthy love requires on their part as well. So, because there's nothing about the codependent, quote, fit, unquote, with the BPD person with BPD that means that there's any healthy love there. And people with codependency will say that they have unconditional love and it's altruistic. No. And I've done videos on that too. You just have to search the channel. I can't link all the videos underneath here every time I do a video. So anyways, no, people with BPD don't love and don't attach, especially untreated, take significant treatment. They confuse need with love. They're trying hard, they need love, they want love like any human being does. But unfortunately, the emotional arrested development, which doesn't mean they're walking around as 2-year-olds all day, by the way, but they really just don't have an attachment style that allows for attachment. They don't have a sense of self, or they don't know who they are, that would allow for them to like and or love self in order to love other. So this is unhealthy love between codependents and people with BPD, and it's unhealthy in both directions. So maybe not the best news for some people with codependency, but then sorry, just looking at the time of the video. But then I can also speak, and I will be speaking more about this at ajmahar.co also, that, these unhealthy bonds and what's happening with them, and the reality in that mix of what people think love, quote, love, unquote, is, with people with BPD, with people that have codependency. People with BPD don't pull out the unhealthy connection, the unhealthy love of that type of bond. They don't pull that out of people with codependency. People with codependency already have that going on. So again, I don't know. People with codependency seem to work really hard. Many, not all maybe, tend to work really hard at rationalizing things and denying themselves and abandoning themselves. But at the same time also blaming people with BPD for everything, or seeing BPD in everybody any minute just because, and people with codependency have many different styles of relating, but some, they can overgive, and that overgiving is control-based. They also can be not only passive-aggressive, but aggressive-aggressive, and extremely treating people really poorly as well. So this is not all within the realm of BPD only. And when people with codependency get together with people with BPD, this is a back and forth of two unhealthy relational patterns that have many overlapping things, but I'm not saying they're exactly the same. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that, somebody sees this video and it makes a difference. I'm just coming at this from a place of facts, insider understanding from when I had BPD and I fully recovered 30 years ago, and also my education, but lived experience on both sides of BPD and 30 years work with clients. So, and if that's not substantial enough for you to consider what I offer here that's accurate, then by all means, enjoy anybody else's channel you want to choose. And I'm not saying mine is heads above everybody else's or anything like that. Not really supposed to be a comparing statement, except to say that rampant misinformation, as always, is out there all over online. So that's not pointing at anybody. I have no one in my mind as I say that. That's just out there. And I really, like I said, I have a propensity for accuracy and trying to be as accurate as I can. I have the experience and the knowledge base to be accurate, number one. Number two, yes, this Asperger, I have high-functioning Asperger's, and this Asperger brain really, and that's a statement of fact because Asperger's is hardwired into the brain, unlike BPD, which isn't. But I do have a propensity for accuracy. So in that, please know, I'm not trying to say, I know it all and I'm above. And I'm also not aiming at anybody else. I'm just making a factual statement by saying there's rampant misinformation, maybe some disinformation too, I don't know, all over the place on the internet about this. And it's one of the most compelling aspects for people with BPD who want to be loved, of course, and who aren't all the same, and for codependents who think that what they're doing is loving when it's really controlling, enabling, and it has more to do with what your issues are as a codependent that you need to know more about, understand, to be able to heal and recover from, than it does about the person with BPD. So people in general with codependency tend to be dumping too much on people with BPD in certain areas, like what's happening with, is the love healthy or not? Because codependency is not a healthy love style either, not a healthy relational style, not a healthy love, not a relational pattern that can really jive with or fit with healthy love. Otherwise, why would so many people with codependency be with cluster Bs? So it's a dynamic thing. It's not just all the person with BPD, and the person with codependency is like all fine and there's no issues there. It doesn't work that way. So anyway, healthy love, people with BPD don't love. People with BPD can't attach unless until they've had way beyond significant treatment, whatever that, years and years of therapy, okay? And to do this work, to find themselves and what has to be done inside themselves first before they're going to be able to be anything that you want them to be, wish them to be, rationalize them to be as a codependent. So there is no healthy love between codependents and people with BPD. And it's not just all about the person with BPD, though I'm not saying the two are exactly the same. I hope that that's helpful to someone out there. And yeah, I'm keeping it real to help people heal. Might not be popular, but when people are ready to hear it, and I'm out here to work with you if you want, if you resonate with me, because when people are ready to work with me, when people are ready to heal, lives, people get the healing work done and lives change. Take care.